Taurus 22, a white dove over troubled waters. In Sufism, the white dove is the Holy Spirit. And troubled waters kind of speaks to the inevitable relationship we have with mind. The mind is the creator of all and everything that we experience. And a troubled mind creates trouble. And a clear, peaceful mind creates a clear and peaceful way of life. It is that simple, and yet people don't seem to do the same amount of work to keep the mind in good shape. They might do a lot of yoga and physical exercises to keep the physical body fit and go jogging and everything. And then not notice that they live a life filled with stress and anxiety and fear. We need to reverse this priority. The mind is top priority. And to create a mind which has this sense of clarity, creative thinking, reasonableness, lack of anxiety and confusion, to create such a mind, well, then we need to do work to have that occur. And the exercises can be introduced to do such work, plenty of them, from one extreme of crosswords and such puzzles, just to keep your mind sharp on the one hand, to meditation, to keep the mind free of stress and creative on the other. So there's all sorts of ways that we can actually make a real effort to clarify the mind. One of them is rather controversial, and it is guidance. Taking helpful input from somebody who's a little bit further along the path than you are. Controversial because guides throughout the ages have misused their power. Spiritual teachers, for example, and others, professionals, shall we say, and they take advantage of that position one way or another. And that means that some of us are very doubtful, very wary, somewhat cynical sometimes, about the whole relationship between a spiritual seeker and a guide. And I reiterate, there's a good need here for caution. There are a lot of teachers, spiritual teachers, who are actually leading sheep in a direction which is not beneficial for the followers. If you look around a teacher, don't look at the teacher, don't listen to what they're saying first and foremost, but just look around them at who's with them, who's following them. If you look at the followers of a teacher, and just decide for yourself, do I feel in keeping with that group of people? Would those people be my kind of people? And then you'll get a sense of whether or not the teaching is valid for you at that time, and it might change later. But if you actually look at a teacher and you see behavior in the followers that really isn't what you want to be or how you do things, then just move on. Because the teacher's words are not the teaching. That's the vehicle through which the teaching is delivered, sure. And the words must check out. They must be consistent. But the teaching itself is the teacher's atmosphere of being, their tone, their joy, really. I mean, if a teacher is not joyful and compassionate and happy, and pleasant and just ordinary qualities of a nice person, if they're not like that, well then, what are they teaching, And so once you actually understood that then you can actually identify which guide might be useful for you, then it's safe enough. But never give yourself totally over to any guide. Just hold a bit back. Because the guide can only really show you what the guide has found for him or herself. But that's not your mystery. That's their mystery. Your mystery is to find yourself. So I like to think of the image of a mountain, and spiritual paths take us up the mountain, and pretty much every spiritual path can take you a little bit higher, and then you can find another path and another until you get to the topmost bit of the mountain. And then there are no paths. You have to create your own at that level. So if you actually find that you've come as far as you can with this particular spiritual guide, or any guide really, maybe it's time for you to strike out alone and form some mix and match blend of all that you've learned through experience and guidance so far in your life, and test out your own package. This is what I've done, and this is what I would like students to do, to take what I'm presenting as part of the whole package and work it out for themselves beyond that. So I think when we look at this question of the white dove offering guidance, we're moving into the level where our guide is no longer necessarily a person and a teaching. The signs that we look for then are symbolic, metaphorical. They can only be grasped intuitively. The hints that are around us, coincidences, correspondences, these kind of strange things that we just notice. Oh, that's odd. And that ties up with something else, synchronistically. You know, we're aware that something strange is going on, and we don't understand it logically. We have to use our intuition then to read the signs. And this is all around us. This is the essence of shamanism, really. But it's present in all the teachings of religions. And we also have to trust our feelings. Knowledge is not only grasped by the mind, it's grasped by the heart as well. The heart has a deeper sense of how to grasp truth than the mind. It uses a different language. The heart's language is a certain quality of feeling, whereas the mind's language is a certain quality of thinking. And I think when we get to this certain sort of level where we're self-guided, it is because we've trusted the heart rather more often than the mind. And when you're trusting the mind, you can't really develop faith, because faith is illogical. Whereas if you trust the heart, when you've moved to that level, then you can understand what faith is. And faith is not a bubbling up, it's not a gift. You don't have faith all of a sudden. You decide to have faith. It takes faith to create the faith, to believe in faith. I don't mean to be clever with words, but faith is intuitively understood and grasped with the will. You have to know that you've got faith and to decide to keep to it, to keep the faith. Even when all the evidence tells you that you're wrong, you still have to keep to your faith, or it's not faith. And one of the main determinants of faith, the gifts of faith as well, is that you just believe in every single scenario that you're moving somehow mysteriously closer to spirit. And that's what faith is. It's the belief that whatever is occurring is helpful. Now, it does take interaction. You can misinterpret one of the signs. You can get it wrong. You can turn it into pessimism if you want to, which is the mistake. Or you could just read how it could be seen as an optimistic clue. So if you do something, your life will improve, your problems will reduce, your opportunities will expand. And all will be well in the long term. That's what faith is, that we're actually always moving towards spirit. And the bottom line really is that humanity is optimistic, really. We have to do work if we want to be pessimistic. I mean, on one level, it takes less muscles to smile than it does to frown on a physical level. It takes more work to propose bad things happening because you get tired. If you're pessimistic and anxious, you get tired. The mind gets tired. It's easier to relax. When you relax, you trust. You know, it's the default condition, really, optimism. And we just have to accept that a white dove over troubled waters is suggesting that the white dove, Holy Spirit, the faith that things are going to be okay, rises above troubled waters, anxiety and pessimism. And this depends only upon our decision to have faith that that is the case, that we have to do work to make our life bad. But if we relax, it actually automatically is good.